Welcome back. A film with a bold title and an important message is screening at the Tomorrow Theater this Sunday. It's called Suck It Up, Buttercup, and takes a look at the U.S. healthcare system. Ron Turker will be hosting the event and joins me now. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks for coming. So first, give us an overview of the film and why you think people should see it.
So Suck It Up, Buttercup is the insider's view of what's been happening in healthcare. And because all of us are affected by healthcare, we're all the once and future patient, this gives it that real behind the scenes look as to what's been happening over this especially the last 5 or 10 years, and why it's been harder and harder for the doctors to spend enough time with us, or harder to get an appointment, and why we're, after we get that 6-minute appointment 6 months down the line, we get the 3 letters that say, this is not a bill. Right. And then the next thing you know, you're getting a collections letter. That's what this movie addresses. It addresses the pain that healthcare workers are going through, trying to be the caring people that they are, and yet there are other forces that are pulling on them.
Absolutely. And you are a retired pediatric orthopedic surgeon, a writer, and a former stand-up comic. Which one is the hardest of those jobs? No, just kidding, just kidding. We know it's this comic. But why did you want to participate in this movie?
Because I feel like after 30 years of practice, where I had a really wonderful career, but I've also taught the whole time, my students, my younger colleagues, they deserve the kind of career that I had, with a lot of autonomy and a lot of care. There was a lot of caring involved, and yet they're getting boxed into tinier and tinier boxes. And so I feel like for me, it's paying back and paying forward. Yeah. If I can help them, that helps the patients.
Yeah, and humor, let's talk about the power of humor in healthcare, because I mentioned you did some stand-up comedy, because that can really break down some walls, make that connection with patients, right?
So the thing that we've been losing over generations in healthcare is the touching part of it. Even examining a patient has become less and less common. Humor is another way of touching. You are reaching out through comedy. You're reaching out through the lighter touches, and you're making a connection that they can feel.
Yeah. Let's talk more about Sunday's event. There's going to be a screening, and you're the host, and there's also a Q&A after the show, right?
Yeah. That's the important part.
Okay.
Because that's the conversation. Mm-hmm. So I'll start off with a little bit of a story of my own, kind of a humorous little story. We're going to go into the movie, which kind of shows some of the darker sides of healthcare. And then that opens us up for the conversation. That's what this is about. It is bringing the public and healthcare workers together, and maybe on screen they'll see something that represents them. Maybe they see a little of themselves in the movie and they want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you are local, you're based here in Portland, and there's another local couple featured in the movie, and I think they will also be there Sunday. Do you want to tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, so Will and Kristen Flannery. Will is a local ophthalmologist. Online, he goes by the moniker of Dr. Glaucom Flecken. And he's been doing these humorous shorts for years. And they really, at first, they really reached out to the healthcare workers. But then I think also the public has kind of, glommed on and said, yeah, this is great. So Will and Kristen were interviewed for the movie, and some of his shorts are in there. Parts of the interview are in there. And both of them are just a very powerful couple in the healthcare reform and change arena.
Yeah, and they have a powerful story as well, their own healthcare journey, which you'll learn about in the movie, and then I'm sure they'll talk about it on Sunday as well. Any final thoughts that you want to let people know, either about this movie or just kind of, your experiences as a surgeon and the, from when you started 30 years ago and to now?
Yeah, I think that what we've seen, what we've witnessed over the last 30 years is a growing kind of chasm, a gap in trust between our patients and physicians and nurses. And what the pandemic did was it didn't rupture the trust, it just exposed how separated we've been. This is an opportunity, and this movie is an opportunity to start the conversation where we can rebuild trust. to let people know, you know, my doctor's been missing in my life. I can't reach them. This is where we've been. We've been struggling against corporate entities, private equity, et cetera, and it's time for us to come back together and make changes.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a really powerful film that lots of different people, patients, or doctors can all learn something from. So Suck It Up, Buttercup will screen at Pam Cuts Tomorrow Theater this Sunday, May 31st. Tickets are available at the Tomorrow Theater's website, and you can learn more about the movie at suckitupbuttercupfilm.com. Thank you for being here and sharing this with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.